right, I am joined by Anja, former Group Director, Rooms and Quality for Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group, now hanging out her shingle Unique Hospitality Solutions, coming to us from San Francisco, California. How are you?
Hi, Jason. Great. Thank you for having me today.
You bet. So tell us a little bit about the past 6 months for you.
Well, I think they've been turbulent. I think everybody, kind of had a turbulent time with COVID-19. The whole world is a bit in a turmoil. And, of course, our industry is suffering, quite badly. And, in my view, I think COVID-19 has kind of shone maybe a light on some inefficiencies in the industries of how maybe over the last few years, for the right reasons, for decades, actually, the industry has put on more jobs and layers of positions. And now with obviously no, demand, no revenues coming in, obviously companies do have to go into layoffs, but more so not just layoffs, but actually restructuring. And I think, the restructure that they're doing to be more lean and agile, and redistributing knowledge and decision making is something that actually will really shift and change the industry, because I think that is something that they're working towards for not just COVID, but for the future, in order to have better net profit gains in the long haul. And so I saw, that happening, and I thought, wow, that's actually a great opportunity to, try and bridge the gap, because when that happens, when travel restrictions are lifted and demand is, coming back, maybe not right, to the levels that we were used to, but at least at that stage, companies, because they're more lean, will have opportunities to bring in outside help, or outsourcing certain tasks at hand that are part of their strategies that need execution. And so I looked at it as a positive opportunity and created my own consultancy company in order to assist organizations, GMs, vendors even, that support the industry, and bridge that gap.
Now, right before you left Mandarin, you had rolled out a COVID-19 response program. Why don't you touch on that just a minute?
Sure, yes. As a matter of fact, at the time, I created a task force, and the task force very quickly realized that, all the things that many, many hotel companies did, it was actually quite complex, because in every location, region, country, even provinces or cities, the rules and regulations all were changing based on the restrictions. And so the program that the task force actually created was much more around a framework in, really trying to understand guest journeys and colleague journeys, and how can again, Mandarin Oriental wanted to really look at it more as how can we make a meaningful change, not just to comply what is needed, but also look at how can we weave that into the guest experience and make it as seamless as possible, and still really hone in on the service from the heart and this emotional connection between the interaction between our colleagues and the guests. So I'll give you one example. The guest journeys we had. Mandarin Oriental already had experience from SARS, but also the Asian hotels. Most of the Asian hotels stayed open during COVID, and so the Asian hotels were feeding a lot of feedback of what their guests were actually saying during COVID and what they wanted. And at the beginning, we thought, oh, they don't want housekeeping, they don't want turndown, the least, interactions. But actually, it was the complete opposite. But we also realized there were cultural differences, and also in every country, it depended a little bit of what experience a country has had with COVID. Guests in Italy were much more, cautious and really wanted more assurances, versus perhaps in countries where it wasn't quite as bad. So that's really what the task force looked at, of how can we really make it a seamless guest journey, and the colleagues as well, when they come back, when a hotel reopens, how do we welcome them? How do we inform them of all the new things? And how do we make them feel, very confident with, being safe, and also being able to interact with the guests in a very safe environment? And that, it was really well done.
Now, you are sitting on a panel and going to talk at Cyber High Tech. Talk to us
Correct.
about that. This is like an all-women panel. I'm not invited.
No, yes, I'm really honored that I've been invited as a panelist along with some very impressive women in the industry. And the title of the session is actually How Women in Hospitality Technology Shape the Industry. Now, I really am a bit honored because I'm not really, I'm not a technology person per se. But what I learned very early on in my career, I've been in hotel business for over 34 years. Very early on, when I was on operations in properties, I realized how much the guest experience and the delivery of service and the efficiencies of your department's output is really reliant on technology. And marketing promotions, it's fantastic, it brings in guests, but if operations cannot deliver the marketing promise, or it is very hard to actually configure systems, or get the processes down so there's no manual massaging of what needs to be done, then it became very negative. Actually, it set up the colleagues for failure. It made it a not so seamless experience for guests. And so very early in my career, I really, very much loved, trying to shape the functionality of technology. And then, further on in my career, I also really worked more on, integrations and more of the, back end, etc. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's a lot of women in this industry that have their hands on the technology.
Yes,
So
it's really amazing.
with the time, I mean, I talk to them every week. So with the time remaining, just give us a little nugget of what the talk's going to be about.
Yeah, so I think the panel is really there to inspire more women, and our young generation that's coming in, to be inspired that technology. There are many women in technology that are doing really great. Actually, at Mandarin Oriental, head of technology is a woman, Monica Nerger, and the inspiration that you can bring to the young colleagues that are coming into the industry, I think is really what we're looking for in at the panel, and inspire colleagues, young generation, to come and follow suit. And really, the more input we can get from women who are pretty good, I think, in multitasking, the better for the industry.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Great. Yeah,
Sounds
come and
good.
check us out. High Tech,
Yes.
October 29th.
Yep, we'll be there. All right. Thank you for joining me, Anja.
Thank you so much, Jason.
All right.